So I don't oftentimes do videos like this from Micah and the Hatman, but I felt the need to do this one today because this is something that's a bit of a stink has been caused about online, and there's some back and forth on it. I kind of wanted to dissect it. So here I am once again criticizing Matt Walsh. Some of you might ask, Micah, why do you criticize Matt Walsh so much? Well, I'll be honest with you. I'm not so much criticizing Matt Walsh as I am criticizing a microcosm of the Christian church. Whether it be, because Walsh is a Catholic, he's not an evangelical like I am, but whether it's evangelicals, Catholics, whoever, the fact of the matter is right now within the church there is a conflict. The church cannot decide whether or not it wants government to be small g God and for God to be big G God, or for us to be just only have one God, and that is Yahweh. And this lack of ability to make a decision is incredibly frustrating to me. I am of the latter group. I am of the belief that you shall have no gods before God, And I have a problem when pastors or even bloggers like Walsh is, because he's not a journalist, he's a blogger. I'm a journalist. but no, he's a blogger. He's not somebody who's really saying anything that is objective. He has an agenda. And the problem that I have with the agenda he is pushing here is it's completely and totally disingenuous and goes against a lot of the things that he says. But there's a lie in the headline. So right out of the gate, he says, pastors are being arrested for holding worship services. This is not health and safety, this is tyranny. I don't recall him talking about several different pastors. And there's a bunch of things, there's only one pastor mentioned. So immediately the title is salacious. But he goes in here and he says, a pastor was arrested and charged with criminal offenses for holding a worship service. No, he was not. That was not what the charge was. But he says this event didn't occur in North Korea, Saudi Arabia, blah, 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 blah. And let's get to the facts part of this. Pastor Howard-Browne, and it takes two paragraphs for him to get to the facts. It says, Pastor Howard-Browne insists his church took many precautions. Hand sanitizer was given out, the staff wore gloves, congregants were spaced out as much as possible. They may not have all been 6 feet apart. That's social distancing guidelines. But they were certainly better spaced than you will be if you wait in line at a grocery store. It's a straw man. Nobody cares. Or it's a non sequitur, rather. And he continues to go in this. And I have a problem with it right out of the gate. The religious freedom, the idea of it, is that you can practice your religious beliefs without being arrested for simply having those beliefs. That is what it means. This pastor was not arrested for being a pastor of a Christian church. He was arrested for endangering his own congregation. The fact of the matter is we are dealing with a pandemic. You can hand out hand sanitizer and wear masks and all this other stuff. There's a good chance people could still catch COVID-19 within, or the Wuhan virus, or whatever you want to call it, within that building. It only takes one person who's infected to come in there. And they cough on the wrong spot or what have you, or something along those lines, and it can spread. The fact of the matter is that you're publicly endangering these people by saying, yes, we're going to continue to hold church services, even though it's a really bad idea to continue to hold church services. I will tell you this right now. Comparing this to government tyranny, I'm sorry, it's not a fair comparison. In fact, I would go so far as to say that the two aren't even related. We're comparing, what, a pandemic to Christianity in Soviet Russia? Christianity in China? Christianity in North Korea? I'm sorry, but no. That's ridiculous in this particular scenario. If this pastor fired off a gun and was arrested during this particular scenario, we wouldn't be having this discussion. If this pastor punched someone in the face and got arrested for it, we wouldn't be having this discussion. But the fact of the matter is that this pastor, maybe he's a nice guy, maybe he's just an idiot, which I've met plenty of pastors that are fucking stupid. The point is that he did something to endanger people. That's what he's being arrested for. It has nothing to do with his religious beliefs. And by the way, I'd be saying the same thing. It doesn't matter whose religious background this comes from. This isn't a matter of religious freedom. It's a matter of endangering the rights of others. In my opinion, the way that law should be created is with basically the idea of protecting the inalienable rights of each and every person. And the law covers and stops, or hopefully stops and is able to get justice for those who have their rights violated by other people. By telling people to continue to congregate as a spiritual leader when you know that they shouldn't, when you know it could get them sick, when you know it could even get them killed, you are violating their rights. You should be arrested. It's like telling somebody that you have influence over to go lick a toilet seat when somebody who was infected by COVID-19 has just sat on it. These sorts of things and these sorts of leaders are dangerous. And not in like the fun way of, oh, they're dangerous to the cult, they're a countercultural force. No. This guy's an asshole. And he's being punished for being an asshole, not for being a Christian. I'm sorry, but the two just aren't related. And the issue that I have with this, again, comes with all of a sudden Matt Walsh is a libertarian on these issues, or is playing a really bad one on TV, or on YouTube, I should say. Because if you're going to be a libertarian about these things, you have to choose if you're going to be a libertarian, or if you're just going to be a pick-and-choose libertarian. That's why I'm leaning libertarian these days personally, but I'm not saying that I'm joining the Libertarian Party because I don't hold all the principles that libertarians do. I kind of just do my own thing these days. I have different beliefs for different subjects. But with Walsh, and like I said earlier on, he cannot decide whether or not government is good or government is bad. And I don't really think it's one of those things where it's good in some scenarios and bad in others. For example, in this particular subject, he's a libertarian. But whenever it comes to censorship or more laws about pornography or video games or things along those lines, he loves government. Well, which one is it? Is government small g God? Is government this thing that we can, as Christians, rely upon? Or is God God? And government at one point was feeding us to lions, or has executed Christians in the hundreds of thousands over time. The second one's the one that's true. And that's my endless frustration when it comes to this sort of thing. Aside from the fact that you can't compare this situation to the things that happened to Christians in China. In fact, I think that that's a slap in the face to any Christians that have been persecuted for their beliefs in China and this particular scenario. This guy's not being persecuted for his beliefs. He's being persecuted for being a dumb asshole. God does not want you to catch COVID-19. And you can pray and worship in your own home. In fact, the church that I go to, they have been doing streamed worship services constantly. I sit here in my pajamas and sing to Jesus and listen to the sermon. Or my dad's doing the same thing over Facebook. I'll watch my dad speak. In fact, I finally have the ability to literally do the worship stuff from the church band, and then listen to my dad speak, because no offense to my pastor, but my dad's a better preacher. So there are ways to do things these days. And I honestly think that it's not just dangerous, but lazy and bad pastorship to do the things that he's doing. You have to keep in mind, folks, I was raised in a pastor's home, and I was a minister for a very short time of my life. This is not the sort of thing you do. You don't put your congregation in danger. You're to be a steward of your congregation. You are to aid people in your congregation. You do not put them in these scenarios that you know are dangerous, take a few precautions and say, well, you know, it's in God's hands. No, God put them in your hands. Take responsibility, which is what he should do. And hopefully when he gets out of wherever he's at, if he's in a prison cell or what have you, he realizes that that was the bad move as a pastor and that he could have gotten people hurt. At the end of the day, though, the church is going to have to decide. Is government our friend or not? Do we really like government, or do we really hate government? Because I'll tell you this one thing. If you are offended by what's been going on with just this in general, maybe you should reconsider running to the government every time that you want something censored or something like that because you can't take care of your own damn kids. I'm obviously aggravated by this, but it is what it is. Anyway, that's my thoughts on that. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget, we're still going to do the overflow this week. We'll be back with the podcast on Friday on this channel at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So, until that time, though, my name is Micah Curtis, your favorite vanilla gorilla. I'll see you next time.